He didn't pull you in with big love. He pulled you in with that calm look, like he finally got it. Like he already knew he'd hurt you. And for once, he wasn't going to dodge it. It's that moment when you're sitting across from him, and he's not scrolling, not smirking, not changing the subject. He's just there, eyes on you, listening the way you wished he had listened the first time. And then he says something soft, not perfect, just enough. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. And your whole body loosens a little because you've been carrying the pain by yourself for so long that basic understanding feels like intimacy. So you start explaining. You try to be careful. You try not to sound dramatic. You start at the beginning, even though he was there. You talk about that night he went quiet right after being close. The way he left you on red. The way he showed up days later like nothing happened. And while you're talking, he nods like he's tracking every word. He reaches for your hand at the right time. He says, I hear you. And it hits you like relief. Real relief. The kind that makes you think, okay, maybe I can finally stop carrying this alone. So you go deeper. You say the parts you weren't even planning to say. The parts you usually swallow because you don't want to be too much. You tell him exactly what it does to you when he's warm one day and distant the next. How you end up staring at your phone like it's going to explain him for you. And he stays gentle. He stays quiet. He stays present. Just long enough for you to believe this time is different. That's the moment that pulled you in. Because you weren't asking for a grand gesture. You were asking for him to see what he was doing. And in that moment, it looked like he did. And that's when you start building a story you didn't even mean to build. Because if a man can sit there, look you in the eye, and act like he understands, it's hard not to believe he cares. So you tell yourself, maybe he's just not good at this. Maybe he wasn't taught how to talk about feelings. Maybe he shuts down when he's stressed. Maybe he's scared of messing it up, so he disappears and then comes back when he feels calmer. You start giving his silence a personality. You start calling it his way. And the worst part is, it almost sounds reasonable when you say it out loud. So when he goes distant again, you don't think he's choosing distance. You think he's overwhelmed. When he replies short, you don't think he doesn't want to deal with me. You think, I caught him at a bad time. When he makes a plan and then suddenly gets busy, you don't think he didn't mean it. You think something must have come up, and you start acting like you're helping the relationship by making it easier on him. You send the softer text instead of the honest one. You say, no worries, when it is worries. You pretend you're fine, because you've learned that being fine is the only version of you he stays close to. And every time he circles back with a little warmth, that story gets louder. See? He does care. He came back. He wouldn't come back if it meant nothing. So you keep explaining, not because you love explaining, but because you're trying to give him the map. Like if you say it clearly enough, gently enough, at the right moment, he'll finally get it and stay. That's why you replay conversations in the shower. That's why you type a message, delete it, type it again, and stare at it like it's a test you can pass if you choose the perfect words. Because in your head, the problem isn't him hurting you. The problem is you haven't found the one sentence that makes him stop. And that story feels kinder than the truth. It lets you keep hoping without feeling foolish. It lets you believe the warm version of him is the real one, and the cold version is just a phase. But you only get to keep that story if you ignore one thing. He understood you the first time. And that's the part that changes everything. He wasn't confused. You were. because he already understood what it was doing to you. He just didn't want to live under the weight of it. He likes the part where you're close and soft with him, the part where nothing is required except showing up and being wanted. He likes the warmth, the attention, the way you melt when he's finally sweet again. But the second your pain turns into a request, even a small one, he starts slipping away. Not because he doesn't get it, because getting it means he has to do something different, and he doesn't want to. That's why he can be so present during the talk and still repeat the same behavior right after. He'll sit there and let you explain. He'll nod. He'll look serious. He'll even apologize in the exact tone that makes your chest unclench. Then the next day, you send something simple, something normal. Hey, are we still on for this weekend? And suddenly, he's slower, shorter, less sure. Like the moment you ask for something that has a shape, he loses interest. Because his version of connection is comfort without responsibility. He wants to feel close when it's convenient. He wants access to you when he's in the mood to be warm. He wants the benefits of you without the steady choosing of you. And he counts on one thing. He counts on the fact that you'll keep translating his behavior into a nicer meaning. He counts on you thinking, maybe I pushed too hard. Maybe my timing was wrong. Maybe if I say it differently next time, he'll stay in that calm, understanding version of himself. But that calm version isn't a new him. It's him buying time. It's him soothing the moment so he doesn't have to face consequences. Because when a man really doesn't understand, he asks questions. He gets curious. He changes his behavior without needing another long conversation. He already knows where you hurt. He just shows up there with a bandage instead of stopping the thing that keeps cutting you. And you've been mistaking the bandage for care. That's why it keeps happening. Not because you can't explain. Because he's comfortable with you carrying the pain as long as he still gets the closeness. And after a while, it doesn't just hurt. It changes how you move. Because you learn his pattern like it's weather. When he's warm, you relax. You talk more. You're lighter. You let yourself imagine something real. When he's cold, you get quiet. Not because you don't have words, because you don't want to ruin it. You don't want to be the reason he disappears again. So you start living in edits. You reread your own messages like you're checking for mistakes. You take out the sentence that sounds like a need. You replace it with something casual so he won't feel pressure. You wait longer to reply, even when you're staring at your phone, because you don't want to look like you care too much. And you hate that you're doing that. You hate how your mood depends on his tone. One normal day can turn into a weird day, just because his reply came back dry. No emoji, no question back. Just a period at the end, like a door closing. And you start filling in the silence for him. He's tired. He's busy. He didn't mean it like that. You become the person who smooths everything over before it can even become a problem. Because every time you actually name the problem, he acts like you're making it bigger than it is. So you stop naming it. You start swallowing things in real time. You'll be with friends and still feel that little pull in your chest, like you should check your phone again, like maybe the warm version of him is back. You'll be getting ready for bed, and suddenly you're replaying the last conversation, trying to figure out where you lost him. Not because you're obsessed with drama, because you're trying to stay safe inside something that keeps shifting. And the cost is quiet, but heavy. You stop asking for clarity the way you used to. You stop expecting follow-through. You stop trusting your own reaction, because he's trained you to treat your feelings like they're an inconvenience. And little by little, you don't just miss him. You miss you. The version of you who didn't have to rehearse her needs like they were a negotiation. And this is where you finally stop doing the work he refuses to do. Because once you see it, You can't unsee it. You weren't explaining because you loved talking in circles. You were explaining because some part of you believed that if he really understood, he would stop. But he did understand. He understood when you went quiet after he pulled away. He understood when you tried to sound easy about things that were actually breaking your trust. He understood when you accepted a late reply like it was better than nothing. And he understood every time you came back with softness after he handed you distance. That's why the conversations never fixed it. They weren't missing information. They were missing choice. And the shift in you is small, but it's real. It's the moment he texts like nothing happened and you don't rush to make it light. You don't rush to prove you're chill. You just feel that old urge to explain, and you let it pass. You let the silence sit where it belongs. Because you're not going to keep begging a grown man to care about the effect he's having. You're not going to keep explaining your pain in a way he can keep avoiding. And you don't have to hate him to do this. You don't have to turn him into a villain. You just stop making excuses for what keeps repeating. You stop calling it a rough patch when it's his normal. You stop confusing a soft apology with a changed pattern. And the biggest relief isn't even losing him. It's losing that feeling that you have to earn basic steadiness by being smaller. So when he reaches for you again with that familiar warmth, you don't melt into it the same way. You notice the real question underneath it. Is he choosing you in a way you can actually rest in? Or is he just calming you down so nothing has to change? And if it's the second one, you don't explain. You don't argue. You don't write a perfect message. You just step back into your own life like you never should have left it.